Kobbie Mainoo is in line to make his first ever competitive start for England this Sunday against Slovakia. And without wanting to put too much pressure on the young man, he could be the perfect sort of profile to finally bring some balance to the England midfield. Let's take a look at why. So the key word there was profile and balance. You see, when you are trying to build a balanced midfield trio, you are essentially looking for a range of profiles to complement each other. So what are you looking for from your midfield? You are looking for players to be press resistant, you are looking for players who can retain the ball well, players that want a lot of touches / high volume players, but also players which are expressive and also progressive. Players which can take the ball in tight areas and carry the ball forward, players which can pass the ball forwards as well, and then you need a little bit in the final third as well. Creativity and also ball striking, meaning that they are a goal threat. So now if we take all of that criteria, look at where Declan Rice is strong, and also look at where Jude Bellingham is strong, simply because I think those two will definitely start the game, you're now looking for a third player to come into that midfield and bring balance. Now to bring balance, ideally, we would have two players excelling in each area. Now if we look at the first solution which Gareth Southgate tried to use, Trent Alexander-Arnold, we can see that he definitely ticks some of the boxes, but it doesn't give us a fully balanced midfield. It's the same for Conor Gallagher as well. If we put him in, he does fill some of the criteria, but not quite all of it. When we put Kobbie Mainoo in there and look at his strengths, he is completing our midfield balance, apart from a little bit of creativity, which we could still do with in the final third. But without doubt, his profile as a player is definitely the best option. Now, it's one thing to sit here and say that England needs those traits on paper. You know, we're trying to build the ideal midfield. The question is, how does that actually look on the pitch? How does Kobbie Mainoo change the dynamic of this England side? Well, the first thing, and arguably one of the most important things, particularly if England are to progress into the deeper rounds of the tournament, is his ability to play in the first phase. This is something which England have really lacked. When England have played against sides that have pressed high, we're looking at Serbia and Denmark, England have failed to play the ball out from the back. Because Declan Rice doesn't excel here, but again, neither does Conor Gallagher or Trent. Kobbie Mainoo is very good in the first phase, and he's the sort of player who wants to drop into these areas. Even if there is a player on his back, he is calm and he is composed, either taking a touch and then playing a pass to a free teammate, or actually taking on responsibility himself to try and spin past his player and carry the ball forward. That is exactly what England need in midfield. But he also helps us tick some boxes higher up the pitch as well. And again, he brings a greater balance to our midfield. So the question is, why? Again, what is it that Kobbie Mainoo is bringing to our midfield which makes us so much more balanced? For me, it is the willingness and the wanting to get on the ball. Kobbie Mainoo is a high volume player, someone who wants to come towards the ball, get a lot of touches, wherever the ball is on the pitch really. So at times the ball will be on the left wing. Kobbie likes to try and drift over into that area to get involved. If it's high on the right wing, Kobbie Mainoo likes to try and drift over and get involved, but also if the ball is deep, he is happy to get on the ball in these areas. And again, he is a high volume player. Why is this important to England? Well, it really helps Declan Rice and takes a lot of the burden off of him on the ball. You see, Declan Rice is a fantastic footballer, an absolutely brilliant player and a key part of this England side. However, at the end of the day, when teams sit deep, like we saw against Slovenia, and he is given a lot of touches on the ball, he isn't someone who really wants to push and probe and try and provoke a response out of the opposition's midfield. He's not really going to ask too many questions of the opposition when he's got the ball at his feet. So having someone like Kobbie Mainoo who will drop in alongside him and, like I said, really ease the burden on him is exactly what England need. Declan Rice is a key part of this team, like I said, but he shouldn't be our main player that we play through in possession because he's just not that sort of footballer. Kobbie Mainoo certainly is that type of player, which is why, in my opinion, he does need to come into this role. Now, this is where something is key with Kobbie Mainoo, because I've said about his ability to roam about the pitch and get on the ball. It's a very good skill set to have. He needs to be careful with how he uses it, because what we've seen already at this tournament is too many England players having too much freedom roaming into too many different areas. And we did see it a little bit from Kobbie when he came on the other day. He was drifting to the left wing more than what I would like. I would like to see him kind of holding down this right side position. Of course, occasionally he's going to go over there. It's always going to happen. But in general, I would like him to play a slightly more tactically disciplined role to really help this right-hand side of our attack and improve the balance down this side of the pitch. Now for me, this is one of the key reasons why you bring Kobbie Mainoo into the side. It's his balance down the right. And this isn't something which is really being spoken about. There has been a lot of focus on England's inability to play down the left-hand side, particularly with Phil Foden on the left, always drifting in field. You'll notice I've actually replaced him with Gordon. I think this is something that England need to do. But, you know, Bellingham has drifted to the left a lot, Declan Rice has, Trippier has, and this has left Bukayo Saka incredibly isolated on the right-hand side of the attack. We've seen this in every single match. Now, despite this, in my opinion, Saka has still been England's best attacker, which is a credit to him as a player, and it's why he is an absolute must in this starting 11. He is phenomenal. He can do things that no one else at the tournament can do, in my opinion. I think he's the best right winger at this tournament. So you've got to keep him in the side, but importantly, you've got to keep him involved in matches. What we've seen in the first 3 games is that in spells, when he gets it, he makes things happen. What we haven't seen is him getting given the ball often enough due to being isolated. And we saw that in that Slovenia game. What we saw in the first half was that he was getting the ball, but in relatively deep areas. When we then look at the second half, when Kobbie Mainoo got involved, Saka was suddenly much higher up the pitch, had much more involvement towards the opposition goal. Now, of course, we have to consider that part of that is game state. Slovenia kind of naturally dropped deeper, but Kobbie Mainoo also done an excellent job of helping him. He done a brilliant job of getting over into these areas and knitting the play. So yes, at times dropping deep to help in these positions, but also getting forward and allowing Bukayo Saka some freedom to express himself. So at times it would be kind of tight 1-2s in these areas. At times it would be Kobbie overlapping, allowing Bukayo Saka to come inside. And at times Kobbie Mainoo would make the underlapping run into the penalty area. All of this brought a completely different dynamic to this England side. And again, we can see Kobbie Mainoo's kind of expressive nature on the ball. His pass map in the second half compared to Conor Gallagher's pass map in the first half, it's night and day. Kobbie Mainoo brings a lot more to Bukayo Saka's game, and that is vital for Gareth Southgate. So before we continue into the video, a quick shout out to today's video sponsor, JerseyFifa.com, the home of all of the greatest football kits. Whether that be the new latest releases or the old classic ones like this, Jersey FIFA has something for everyone, and now you can check it out yourself using the link in the description down below. And also make sure to use code JerseyFifa for 10% off when you order. Now, it's alright me saying all of these things and telling you all of these positives of Kobbie Mainoo, but how about we actually look at him doing this in action? We've got this literally within a minute of coming onto the pitch against Slovenia. The first thing we can see Kobbie Mainoo doing is coming towards the ball. How often was Conor Gallagher doing this? Simply not often enough, to be honest. And even Trent, he's a brilliant passer, but at times he seemed a little bit unsure as to when to drop and when to push high, which is obviously natural, as to be expected, because he isn't massively accustomed to playing this role. Kobbie Mainoo is. He's used to dropping into these positions, getting the ball off the centre-back, and simply playing a simple pass to move the ball onto someone else. But what we can see is a key balance that this is providing for England. This is, as crazy as it might sound, one of the first moments of the tournament where England have had a really nice shape throughout the team, a really nice 3-2-4-1 here. And it's because of Kobbie Mainoo's willingness and ability to drop deeper. And what he was doing in these deep positions is truthfully nothing impressive. He's just dropping deep, he's picking the ball up, and he's moving it onto someone else. But it meant that Declan Rice didn't have to do that job. That allows Declan Rice to play a little bit higher on the left-hand side, or certainly in a more free role on the left-hand side, rather than constantly coming towards the right to get on the ball. It gives him that freedom to play on the left-hand side, and I think that's what England need. Declan Rice not always dropping in. We've got it again here. Kobbie Mainoo's going to drop to get the ball again, and it allows Rice to stay to the left-hand side. So this is the first big positive of Kobbie Mainoo in this England team. He takes the burden off of Rice. He comes towards the ball, he wants the ball, and from there, we all know he can play. We didn't actually see the best of his kind of tight touches in his ball manipulation the other day, but should he have a big role to play for the rest of the tournament, again, if England do go far, then hopefully we will see it, because Manchester United fans in particular will know just how good this man is on the ball. He's dreamy. He's absolutely brilliant, to be honest. The other thing I liked about this game, though, was the freedom and also the kind of understanding, the relationship and the interchanging he had with Bukayo Saka down the right. This was, of course, as England were pushing on a bit more, looking for a goal, looking to create something in the final third. And this is what we saw Kobbie doing, making runs past the last line in towards the penalty area. Again, we don't actually associate this with Mainoo's game typically, and it certainly hasn't been a part of England's game at this tournament so far. But Mainoo did bring it. When he came onto the pitch, he offered that ability to go the other way into the penalty area. And getting into a position like this, cutting the ball back to the late arriver, is exactly what England need. They haven't had it up to this point in the tournament. Kobbie Mainoo really started to bring it in the last game. But it's not only that, it's the flexibility and the willingness to go into different spaces as well. Recognising on this occasion that Saka has dropped narrower, Kobbie is willing to run past the ball again into this bit of space, and it gives Bukayo Saka this little bit of freedom. Suddenly, there is no chance Saka is isolated. He's got Kyle Walker up with him, he's also got Kobbie Mainoo with him. This is what Bukayo Saka needs, players near him. Kobbie Mainoo provides that. And then it's that willingness, like I said, to get into the penalty area and the understanding. At this point in the game, Cole Palmer is now on the right wing instead of Bukayo Saka. But again, it's a left-footed player coming inside onto his left foot and looking for that runner into the box. No one else has provided it at this tournament. Kobbie Mainoo started doing it. And it nearly led to the perfect move. If you guys watched my tactical preview for that game, you would have known that this is the exact weakness that England needed to target. Unfortunately, at the time, fatigue had just set into the rest of the team. Kobbie Mainoo was almost too quick for everyone else. But he produced the best bit of creative play for England so far at this tournament, in my opinion. With this run into the box and the cut back towards the penalty spot, it was literally perfect. England really need more of that, and it's exactly why I think Kobbie Mainoo can be so important for this team. The other reason why I think he can be important is almost, I guess if you like, the effect of everything he's done so far. It changes the attacking balance. When you've got a player, first of all, willing to move towards the right-hand side to help, it means that Kane doesn't have to do it so much, so he can focus on being more of a striker. But also, when he is willing to drop deep towards the ball, it means that Bellingham doesn't have to do it so much. That Phil Foden, when he plays, doesn't always have to drop into these areas. Now, one thing I should make clear is that Kobbie Mainoo doesn't literally solve every problem. Gareth Southgate structurally still needs to get the side playing better, and the individuals do need to perform better within the system. And I still think there are other fixes that need to be made. Again, in particular, I'm looking at that left wing, that left-hand side of the attack. Something needs to change for England. Kobbie Mainoo can't fix every problem. And again, I really don't want to put too much pressure on him. I really don't, because it's important for a young player that he has that freedom to express himself without too much expectation. However, having said that, he is very, very good at football, and he has dealt with pretty much every challenge that has been thrown at him so far. He's had mistakes at Manchester United, he's had injury problems early on in his career, but he's kind of overcome all those problems. He's always had the answers and never really let anything set him back too much. And I'm now hoping he can do something similar for England. This isn't necessarily about Kobbie Mainoo. Again, not too much pressure should be put on him. It's more about the profile he is as a footballer. It's about what type of footballer he is. It is exactly what England need in their midfield. He should absolutely come into the starting 11. If not, it should be Adam Wharton, who would bring something similar in those deeper areas. I like the idea of Kobbie Mainoo for that extra bit going forward. I think he can really help this England team. So let's just hope it happens. Let's hope he gets in the team. Let's hope he plays well, avoids injury, everything like that. And yeah, just has that confidence to do what Kobbie Mainoo does. That's what I'm hoping to see this weekend. Will we see it or not? Of course, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But for today, we finished there. That is everything. So thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this video. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.